This is a review of last night's MNBRT radio, which was a great show. The guest was Ron Boles of the BFRO. He lives in Missouri, and he talked about his sighting, which happened in 1988 near his hometown of Springfield, Missouri. Uh, that he saw this tall thing, which he identified as a Sasquatch, and he talked about on the show. He talked about some of the things that he's observed over the years, some of the footprints that he's found, things like that, as far as Sasquatch is concerned. Talked about some of the legends in the Ozarks, such as there's one of the Blue Man, which apparently is a Sasquatch that is so black that its fur, or excuse me, not fur, they don't have fur, they have hair. His hair has a sheen of blue to it. It's so black, it has a sheen of blue to it. Talked about, I think it was the Ozarks Howler or something like that. Yeah, the Ozark Howler, which is also a Sasquatch, or believed to be a Sasquatch. That's mainly he lives in the Ozarks area, and he researches there. And the Ozarks is an area that has a rich history of Sasquatch activity. And he talked about some of the field observations that he's made along with the BFRO. They've been on several expeditions in Arkansas. He's been on an expedition in Arkansas and also in his home state of Missouri and Texas and Oklahoma and other mid-southern states. Um, he was asked several questions by folks in the chat room, and I think he answered them very well. Um, After I had done my HBM's Crypto Corner segment, I actually called in and I asked Ron. The first question I asked him was about plant life, as far as what sort of edible plant life there is in his area. He described several types of different plants that are edible to different animals, such as bears, large predators, things like that. He mentioned about let's see some of the plants, some of the plant life he mentioned, or things like uh, trying to think what he said. What type of I mean, there's all kinds of edible plants um, that are viable as far as for Sasquatch and for large predators and other animals. I mean, all animals survive in that capacity because of various plants and also animal life. Cattails. He said cattails was one plant. Trying to think what other plants he mentioned. I imagine rose hips are probably also eaten if there's rose hips in the area. He didn't mention rose hips, but I'm mentioning it. That rose hips are supposed to be very good for you and good eating. So, and my second question to him was if he'd noticed any patterns during moon phases. If he had noticed that there was an increase or perhaps decrease of activity in moon phases. And he said the only thing he's really noticed is there's not much luck on a full moon. Not much luck having a sighting or an encounter on a full moon. You're better off um, on a night when the moon is like a sliver or it's a crescent shape or whatever. He says he's had no luck on a full moon. Um, so that's something to keep in mind. Those Sasquatchers that are out there doing their nighttime investigations, the full moon's not exactly conducive to activity. All in all, it was a great show. 5 stars as always, Abe. Next week, oh boy, a surprise guest. I can't say any more right now, but there will be a surprise guest next week on MNBRT Radio. Um, the Actually, he's a long time Bigfoot researcher, long time Bigfoot researcher and enthusiast. He also started out as a Yeti investigator back in the back in the 50s. I may as well just go ahead and tell you. I may as well just go ahead and tell you who it is. It's Peter Byrne. Peter Byrne has agreed to be on MNBRT Radio next week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/MNBRT. As you all know, Peter is going to be speaking at the upcoming 24th Annual Ohio Bigfoot Conference, along with Dr. John Bindernagel. So, but this will be a great show, and we're looking forward to it. And we do encourage you to please tune in and support great research.